All right, and the latest that we get here is that Uddhav Thackeray and camp, unfortunately, have only one cabinet minister left from the lower house, the Vidhan Sabha, and that appears to be Uddhav Thackeray's son, Aaditya Thackeray himself. Other ministers remained with Uddhav are Subhash Desai, Anil Parab, both from the upper house, the Vidhan Parishad. Now, from the lower house, the Vidhan Sabha, it appears that only one minister stays with Uddhav Thackeray's camp, and that's his own son, Aaditya Thackeray. Now, this certainly has brought down the morale of the Shiv Sena that's been led by Uddhav Thackeray, even though they may not be displaying those emotions at this point, but it's very evident that right now Uddhav Thackeray led Shiv Sena certainly on a back foot. They have been cornered to a small, literally marginalized, a small minority at this point in their own party. And it would come as a double blow to Uddhav Thackeray. Not just is he going to be knocked off the chair of the Chief Minister, he also stands threatened to lose the post of President of the Shiv Sena. He could be very well knocked off as the President of the Shiv Sena as well. There are legalities to this. Of course, both camps are willing to take this up legally, but it all depends on the Election Commission, on who the Election Commission really recognizes as the true Shiv Sena, the real Shiv Sena. With 2/3 and more majority, with Eknath Shinde camp, unanimously, all of them, the rebel camp, passing a resolution saying Eknath Shinde is their leader, that they have accepted Eknath Shinde to be their leader. Considering that, it now depends on the Election Commission whether they want to recognize the Eknath Shinde camp as the Shiv Sena camp, the true Shiv Sena camp, or not. All this, again, like I did mention, will require legal interception. Will this be possible for the Shinde camp remains to be seen, but clearly Uddhav Thackeray at this point not willing to give up as easy. India Today's reporters all on ground bringing us the latest. We have Paulami Saha, who's currently at Guwahati, the only reporter on top of this story from the rebel camp, the Shinde camp. She's bringing us all those accurate updates as Eknath Shinde and his rebels are lounging on a good Sunday evening. Yeah, Paulami, we also have Pankaj Upadhyay joining us from Mumbai, Vidya also joining us from Mumbai. But over to you, Paulami, first. Eknath Shinde and camp lounging on a Sunday evening. Doesn't seem like they're bothered whatsoever with this kind of developments coming in. The protests by the Shiv Sena workers who are loyal to the Thackerays. Many of their MLAs' offices have been vandalized, their homes. In fact, Sena workers have been camping right in front of. Boards have been defaced, ink thrown on Shinde's posters all across Mumbai. But none of that has really bothered the rebel camp, who seem to be having quite a good time over a week now, staying in a resort.
That's right. The rebel camp appears definitely very calm and very composed, given the circumstances, given the disqualification notices which have been served to them and the summons that have been served to them as a result of those notices from the Deputy Speaker's office, their offices being vandalized, their security being allegedly withdrawn by the state government. All of those challenges aside, they do seem like they've got things under control, and they are, of course, putting those pictures out in order to send out a very strong message that we are the ones here on a stronger footing as opposed to the opponent camp. Yesterday, in fact, Eknath Shinde had made an appeal to Shiv Sainiks, who had, of course, some of them who had gone on a rampage and vandalized some of the property and the offices of
yeah, but on both ends, doesn't seem like appeals have reached out to the people they need to.
Please understand the reality.
Right. You know, Paulami, on both ends, be it the Thackeray camp appealing to the rebels, have fallen flat. Rebels appealing to the Shiv Sena workers on ground have fallen flat. On both ends, seems like their efforts to reach out to one another have been futile. But Paulami, a quick word on the number of ministers who are currently with Eknath Shinde and camp. That itself is a big statement of sorts. While you have Uddhav Thackeray, who has only one Vidhan Sabha minister with him, and that is his own son, Aaditya Thackeray. You have Eknath Shinde, the rebel camp, now boasting of at least 4 ministers from the Shiv Sena. That is Dada Bose, Gulab Rao Patil, Sandeepan Bumre, and now in the latest, Uday Samant. Am I right?
Nabila, it's more than that. It's about 8, because you just named the cabinet rank ministers. There are MOSs over here as well.
Right.
This is the total Shiv Sena quota that we're talking about. So as far as the Shiv Sena quota of ministers go, those from the Legislative Assembly, there's only one left with Uddhav Thackeray right now, and that's his own son, Aaditya Thackeray. So an MLA minister, Aaditya Thackeray, is the only one left with Uddhav Thackeray at the moment. Two other ministers who are left with him from the Shiv Sena quota of portfolios in the Mahavikas Aghadi. It is Anil Parab, who is an MLC. It is Subhash Desai, who is an MLC. So Aaditya Thackeray's only son, an MLA, and now a minister who's with Uddhav Thackeray. As far as the ministers who are with the Eknath Shinde camp is concerned, the names of those are cabinet ministers, cabinet rank ministers, Eknath Shinde, Dada Bhuse, Gulab Rao Patil, Sandeepan Bumre, and Uday Samant, when of course he joins. He also holds the cabinet rank in the Mahavikas Aghadi government, and ministers of state who belong to the Shiv Sena MLAs as well.
Yeah.
Shambhuraj Desai, Abdul Sattar, Rajendra Patil, Yedraukar, and Bachu Kadu, who of course belongs to the Prahar Jan Shakti party. He's inside with these MLAs as well. So he's left with only his son, who's a MLA and a minister as well.
Yeah, what a fall from grace is this for a leader and stature of Uddhav Thackeray at this point. This may have been the most humiliating period in his entire career through the decades. It's been close to 55 years of the inception of the Shiv Sena, led by Uddhav Thackeray, and it seems like this is for the first time that this kind of rebellion has surfaced, and how it's almost brought his reign within the party itself to an end. Forget the chief minister. He may not be the president of the Shiv Sena longer than this period, is what some analysts say and project. In fact, Pankaj Upadhyay joining us on that. Pankaj, at this point, many of the critics of the Shiv Sena, particularly Uddhav Thackeray, must be taking sadistic pleasure, isn't it? Aditya Thackeray, the only minister from the Vidhan Sabha who remains with father Uddhav Thackeray.
Well, Amila, I think we are yet to see the climax of this tamasha after all. You know, first of all, the rebel camp is going to face the first challenge tomorrow, because tomorrow by 5:30 they have to answer to the notice of disqualification that has been served to them. What is going to be the next move? While the rebel camp needs to answer, the fact also remains that the Shiv Sena is also on an active mode right now. They are maintaining that legally the rebels will not win this battle. And even as we speak, senior Shiv Sena leader Arvind Sawant is meeting a team of lawyers. Shiv Sena has already hired a battery of lawyers, and Arvind Sawant, after meeting these lawyers, is going to have a press conference at around 3:30 or 4. So Shiv Sena is going to put in their version. They seem to be very confident at this point of time. And here, Uddhav Thackeray has a stars cut out. Shiv Sena is the party of Balasaheb Thackeray. And if he does not have the hold over the party, then he'll be marginalized in Maharashtrian politics. So what's happening in ground zero? I'm at the Shiv Sena Bhavan right now, and meetings continue here. The meetings of corporators started at 3:30, and more than that, at around 4:30, we'll have the meeting of the Yuva Sena. We'll have the meeting of the Yuva Sena as well. Now, I've been given to understand by my highly placed sources that there are at least four big leaders within the Shiv Sena, which includes the likes of Anil Desai and Anil Parab. These are the two names which I can confirm, and two more who've been given the responsibility for revival of the Shiv Sena. And of course, in this revival plan, Aditya Thackeray, who heads the Yuva Sena, is going to play a very, very important role. What we are seeing since yesterday is Aditya Thackeray has started the public, he's taking public meetings, he's addressing the public gatherings as well. Yesterday it was at Worli. This noontime it was at Santa Cruz. This evening it's going to be at Borivali as well. Other than that, Yuva Sena is going to spread and give out the message of what Uddhav Thackeray really believes in rest of the Maharashtra as well. An indicator enough that Shiv Sena is going to fight. They are saying they really understand the ploy of the Bharatiya Janata Party right now. And even though the fact remains, the numbers clearly are not with Uddhav Thackeray. He has lost the grip over the legislature party. He needs to at least have that hold over his father's party. He needs to have that hold over the symbol as well. And that is the reason why at least in first initial 24 to 48 hours, we saw that Shiv Sena wasn't really looking good. But now, Shiv Sena cadres are back on the streets. They look very, very aggressive. In fact, today, in the suburban area of Dadar, a bike rally. Yes, Nabila.
So Pankaj, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Vidya also on that. Vidya, just a little clarity for our viewers here. The Shiv Sena cadre who are currently protesting in large numbers, they rest their allegiance with Bal Thackeray or Uddhav Thackeray? Because we know that many of the rebel MLAs who have won on a Shiv Sena ticket have also been Bal Thackeray's Vox. Somehow, one would imagine that the constituency people would, of course, support who their leader is supporting. At this point, but we're seeing a whole different story pan out in Mumbai where the Shiv Sena workers are fully backing Uddhav Thackeray and camp. Is that too a divided house, or are we just seeing some bits of it right outside Samna office naturally who are supporting Uddhav Thackeray? Are we seeing a divided house among the Shiv Sena grassroots cadre as well?
Nabila, no, in fact, that's one of the things that we have seen, especially in Mumbai. I'm not really talking of Thane because Thane obviously is Eknath Shinde's stronghold. So obviously there will be a divided house. But if you look at Mumbai per se, Mumbai certainly is not as divided as Thane. Mumbai certainly has more people, especially, there are some MLAs like Nitin Deshmukh who had actually come back from Surat. Remember the guy? He actually, in fact, when I asked him yesterday also as to look, the Eknath Shinde camp is really going by the days and nights. The numbers are just growing. Don't you really feel bad about really coming back at a time when this party is certainly not holding on to anything? And he said very clearly, like most of the other Shiv Sainiks, that the fact that whatever Thackeray says is the order. Because Eknath Shinde has this entire issue with the MVA government. He too says that he is not against the Thackerays, he is not against the Shiv Sena. He in fact says that he is still a Shiv Sainik, but he is against the very thought of going with the continuing with NCP and the Congress. That's the problem that he has, and that's what the other MLAs too have been stating. So it has always been for the Thackerays to take a decision. However, because the Thackerays have always said that in the last 2.5 years, they have had a good time with the MVA, they want to continue this, and they do not want to go on to what Eknath Shinde wants them to say. That's the reason this entire party is divided. But in the cadre, all those people who have been coming since the last 6 days to Shiv Sena Bhavan have been stating one thing, that their allegiance is only to Shiv Sena, and it is the Shiv Sena that is led by Thackeray, because Thackeray is the name that they really accept and no one else.
Well, but what's interesting, Vidya, in the last 24 hours, as Eknath Shinde and camp dig their heels in, they're now asserting that they want to form a new party. They've already given out indications that they will call their new party as Shiv Sena Bal Thackeray or Shiv Sena Balasaheb. It appears suddenly now Uddhav Thackeray, who's always called his Shiv Sena as Bal Thackeray Shiv Sena, now says that it's my father's Shiv Sena. So don't take my father's legacy forward, that you take your own father's legacy forward. Don't take my father's name or our party's symbol. So now it's suddenly become a family party, a family clan that's now trying to save their party against all these adversities. So let's see who really leads the Sena legacy, true Sena legacy forward. Vidya, I'll come back to you. In fact, our reporters continue tracking those developments, but India Today has this mega scoop coming in on rebel Shinde's visit to Gujarat. Eknath Shinde reportedly met with BJP leader and ex-Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis in Vadodara late last night. Fadnavis and Shinde allegedly met around 2:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. This was the time window in which they met in Vadodara in the dead of the night before Shinde returned to his camp. Let's take a look.
Maharashtra's political drama is playing out from the west to the east of India. From Gujarat to Delhi to Assam, the Shiv Sena implosion has had multiple pit stops and several key players. Now, India Today's open source intelligence unit has uncovered a secret meeting between rebel leader Eknath Shinde and Maharashtra Bharatiya Janata Party chief Devendra Fadnavis in Vadodara. On 24th June evening, Shinde flew to Delhi in a Cessna private jet, left Guwahati at around 10:30 p.m, reached Delhi at around 12:45 a.m. He then left for Vadodara at 1 a.m. in a different jet, which was the Dassault Falcon 2000, that was waiting for him at the airport. That aircraft reached Vadodara at 2:30 a.m. Devendra Fadnavis left from Mumbai post 9 p.m. on 24th June in a private aircraft. Fadnavis first went to Indore and then from there he went on and landed in Vadodara. Devendra Fadnavis returned to Mumbai from Vadodara around 5:45 a.m. This entire sequence of events transpired in the dead of the night without cameras and raising suspense. What was discussed cannot be good news for Uddhav Thackeray, who has been making frantic appeals to rebel MLAs over the phone. Sources suggested that Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray's wife is also trying to douse the fire by attempting to convince the family members and partners of the rebel MLAs. The Shiv Sena is nearing a split. Eknath Shinde holding secret meetings with old friends. Where does that leave the Thackeray family? Here on. With Paulami Saha and Ankit Kumar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, this political meltdown in Maharashtra has left the state of Maharashtra in a limbo. We're going to continue tracking those developments. Much more coming up on the other side. Stay with us.